once you sign in, you can click where it says Participation Center in the upper right-hand side. And once you click on that, you can get to lots of other places that will help you as you're trying to share information with people. One of the things that we feel really strongly that helps is sending emails to people. So if you go to that participant page, you can just click right there where it says send an email. And a new page will pop up for you. So in this section, you can compose your own message, or you can use templates that they already have that are existing. Or you can actually create your own template so that you only have to do it one time, which is what I did, which made it really easy. There's also options for sending it directly from, say, you or your child, or from sending it from your family. All you have to do is plug the email address in and hit the send button, and it's super easy and very efficient. So I also use this for sending thank you notes. I think it's super important to thank our donors. And so I personally try every time I see a new donation come in, I go to this section, send a thank you email, and then it'll tell you if you've sent them an email or not. So it's a really great way to track so you don't forget. So on the next slide, that just shows you where some of the different options are and what that page looks like when you're in there. Once you get in there, if you have any questions, we can help you, work through that, but it's pretty easy to figure out. One of the ways that we found to be really successful is to share on social media. And so namely through this platform, you can connect directly to Facebook. It's super easy. You go to that participant page and scroll down to this blue box, which is kind of hard to miss, and connect your fundraiser to Facebook. So here's the thing, once you click on that, it goes to Facebook. It doesn't give you a chance to, launch it or say yes or anything. It just automatically launches it. So just be prepared for that, which is not a big deal. So also one thing that I recommend is going into your Facebook. If you have a Facebook, on Facebook, I set up an event. So I found that in the event, it made it really easier for my friends to share with other friends. And it kind of helps me track who's planning to walk with us. But I also did it because I'm super excited to be able to post pictures of people as they're walking and as they're raising money, and kind of keep that active so that it's like constantly showing up on people's page. People are going to be super sick of me by July 4th. But it's a great way to share it, and it's really efficient way to keep in touch with people.
You definitely want to tell your child's story and include a photo. I think this is, if you feel comfortable talking about your family's experience with juvenile myositis and what your child has experienced, it helps friends and families to understand why it's so important to raise money and to find a cure. Including a pictures really helps, and I've included the picture here that's being used for our campaign thus far of a family in Pittsburgh. I also think including that picture and telling your story is really key for people that you're communicating with, because in general, people tend to donate because of a personal connection, and the more you can emphasize that, the better. Secondly, personalize the subject line. So the subject line of your email is really important. It has a strong influence on whether people open and read your email. Personalizing it with your child's name can be a good strategy. One of my favorite subject lines has been walking for Claire, or currently it's walking from home for Claire. But just by mentioning your child's name and giving a reference to what you're doing, I think it's really a good way to get people to open up the email and to take a look. My next tip is to ask people to join you in donating. I've used the copy, I hope you'll join me in donating to find a cure for juvenile myositis. The second thing, I think it's also really important to include a prominent link to your team page and to make sure that that's early on in the email. Ideally, the link should be visible when the email is viewed on a phone, because we know a really high percentage of people are looking at these emails on their phones. So my link, which says click here to contribute to our 2020 walk team, comes right after the first sentence, so really early on. It's also good to provide some context about why now is an important time to give. And obviously, currently, that's very clear. The copy I'm using, it's shown here. COVID-19 has increased the vulnerability of kids with JM, many of whom receive treatments that suppress their immune systems. That's why we are as committed as ever to our mission to find better treatments and a cure for JM. It's also important to tell why you specifically are raising money. For me, the language that I use is, we have met many children with JM who are still searching for the right treatment to reduce their symptoms and improve their lives. It keeps our efforts going to raise money for research to find better treatments and ultimately find a cure for JM. Lastly, and sometimes a challenge, it's important to be as concise as you can. Research shows that the human attention span is shrinking, which I think none of us will find surprising. With people reading so much online, there's a lot of scanning going on. So also breaking up into paragraphs that are easier to scan is a good strategy. Experts in direct marketing and emails recommend no more than 2 to 4 medium-sized paragraphs in an email. And obviously that can vary somewhat depending upon what the environment is and who you're talking to. Some of these tips also apply to social media posts, particularly the telling your child's story, including photos, giving some context, and asking people to join you. I hope that these tips have been useful for you and that you'll be excited to get started or to further the fundraising that you've been doing.